Local racing history, Washington State history, U.S. history, heck, world history. Don Munger's life of hard work and humility has made him a revered man to those fortunate to know him. Munger is one of a select group of trainers that has been part of Emerald Downs from the start. The story begins a few years earlier. He was born in Iowa in 1923, but soon after he moved with his parents and 4 sisters to Washington State. There were plenty of cars and trucks in the cities in the late 20s, but rural areas still often used a different form of transportation.
And I can remember was moving from a farm in Woodinville to Redmond, and we drove the stock on the road, pigs and cattle on the road. There was 7 miles. And Lafayette, and had an old team of horses hooked to the wagon, and Dad had chickens and crates and so on in the wagon, and all of us kids would have to go down the road ahead of the cattle and the pigs and stand in driveways so they wouldn't go in someone's driveway.
Horses had always been part of his life and always would be.
I've been a horse fiend from the day I was born, and when I was a little tot, that's all I could think of was horses. And I was raised at a farm where we worked horses, and I had a saddle pony, and when I didn't have a saddle pony, I rode the work horses. And so I've always been crazy about horses.
Munger got in line to enlist in military service the day after Pearl Harbor in 1941. He joined the United States Marines, mostly because that was the shortest line. He served his country ably as a scout sniper in the Pacific Theater. His memory is keen, and though he's often the center of the story, all tales are told in his usual humble fashion. After the war, he settled back in Auburn.
Come back after the war and bought this 10 acres at Auburn, which was just barren land, and built a little garage house to live in, and 2 barns before the house.
Building barns would be a recurring theme over the next 5 decades. He built 5 of them. It was at the Auburn acreage where he began to breed thoroughbreds. Cold steel got him off to a great start. Though Munger sold the son of speculation after trying to trade future breedings for him, Cold Steel became the fastest horse at Long Acres in the 50s. He won the governor's handicap twice, and the whole town of Sumner pretty much shut down on days he raced. While working in Auburn, a job supervisor recommended he attend an upcoming event.
I was working at the Auburn Depot, the Army Depot in Auburn, and they had a lecture there one day about positive thinking. Well, I didn't know anything about what that even meant before then, and it was telling about a person should have a goal and so on to work towards, and I got thinking, you know, I do. And I didn't realize that at the time until then that I really wanted a thoroughbred farm.
He put his plan into action and now has lived at the Munger farm on Crane Corner in Enumclaw for 60 years.
Well, it's approximately 37 acres, and it was a dairy farm when I bought it, and all barbed wire fences. And so at that time, I fenced it all in, had all board fences. In those days, I hauled the boards from a little mill outside of Auburn, and on the trailer of a car behind the car, and the posts at that time, the fence posts, the loggers would cut them posts like lunchtime and after work, and they'd drop them off here at the place. And the cedar post was 25 cents a piece. And now these posts, like see the 4x4 tree ones, are $5 and up. I plowed, when I first got it, I plowed and reseeded the whole place. Then I divided it up into 4 different pastures. One's a 15-acre pasture, which usually for mares and babies. Then I had 3 other 5-acre pastures, and then my paddocks. There was 1 barn on the property, and it's still there, the old barn, and there's a cow barn. It had the stanchions and so forth in it. We tore it out and built stalls. And then they had built the dam up in Green River Gorge, and was through with that, and I bought the carpenter shop, the building there, and tore it down and built another barn, and so that gave me 2 barns. And so I had that barn, and then I needed another one. It kept increasing my herd, and so then I built the other barn down below, 12 stalls. It's where I keep I call it my racing barn, because the racing stock, I keep it in the winter months. And I built that mostly all by myself in one winter. And that things were so much less then, and of course no labor involved because I did it. And I built that barn with a hayloft in it and everything for something like $6,000. It's good soil and it produces a lot of grass, and the weather is nice here too. And now, of course, I have less horses this year than I've ever had for 40 years, and I've got something like, let's see, about with the babies it'd be about around 40 head now. The most horses I've ever owned was 103. But we've had like just normally like 75 head horses on the farm constantly.
The 50s and 60s were tough economically for breeder, owner, trainer Munger, but hard work got him through. That and a little help from homebred star Quite Village, who helped pay some due bills with wins at Long Acres and Bay Meadows.
Well, it's a good life, but we lived like Depression days all the time. And I know I'd be working out here Saturdays and Sundays and light till dark, and cars go by on weekends with the campers on and boats, and but you know, I wouldn't trade places with them. I enjoyed my work.
In 1973, he attended a California horse auction and bid his last available dollar on a stallion he'd researched. He got the horse, and Barbaric Spirit changed his fortune.
I had always wanted a Barbizon stallion, and I finally got a chance to buy him, and gee whiz, I was just doing fair at the racetrack, and with his stock, gee whiz, it went right up. I was doing really good, and he was a grand looking horse, a huge horse. He was 17 hands and brought us a kitchen door, and he's a nice disposition, but he was kind of a one man's horse. He didn't care for a lot of attention, but we'd be working out in the pasture and he'd be out here with us. He'd hang around and be right close to it. He'd go pet him for a minute or two, and then he had enough. But his stock, they were just running sons and guns.
Munger successfully raced many Barbaric Spirit sons and daughters, and also realized other revenues.
I remember the first year I had him, and I advertised him for stud service, and every person that came and looked at him booked a mare. There was one person that didn't. So he was a grand looking horse and a well-bred horse, and he showed it on his offspring.
73 was the year Barbaric Spirit arrived, and also the year Munger bred Best Hitter set a new world record for 6.5 furlongs, 1:13 4/5. He made 2 trips per day from Enumclaw to Renton during Long Acres decades, and now makes 1 trip daily to Emerald Downs, except when there's a horse sired by Nechismo Racing. Nechismo is Munger's latest farm stallion, and last year he had 9 winners from that sire.
Newackham Creek the centre, and the widest runner is Gift Certificate, 5 across the track, and Sovereign Lord on the inside takes the shortcut home, tackled by Newackham Creek. It's on the inside, Sovereign Lord, the outer Newackham Creek, and Newackham Creek finishing strongly, putting the nose in front, and Newackham Creek narrowly at the wire from Sovereign Lord.
Well, yeah, he's got a nice disposition. That means a lot, and his foals have inherited that. And conformation-wise, I've had a number of stallions throughout the years, and can't blame it all on the stallions either, but I've had a lot of crooked legs and offset knees and so on. And on Nechismo, every one of his foals been straight, 100%. I've had one of the best years I've had for years. running at Emerald Downs last year. And I give the stallion a lot of credit, but not all the credit, because I had good help, my grooms. But one thing that helped me a lot in a big way is the jockeys. And when you have a stable that's not doing well, well, the better jockeys, they won't even get close to you. They stay as far away as they can get. And so therefore, if your stable isn't doing good, you don't have much chance of doing any better, because you're not getting not getting the best riders. But last year, why, Camacho, he rode most all my horses in Debut Una, and between the two of them, why, I had 2 good jockeys, and that made a big difference.
Nearly 60 years in Washington racing and coming off his best Emerald Downs season, it was time again to turn a stall application into racing secretary Brett Anderson. Husband of Wanda for 56 years, trucker, carpenter, mechanic, electrician, farmer, horseshoer, horse exerciser, horse trainer, horse whisperer, but not retiree.
And it's been a hard life. I mean, there's no money in it, but if you enjoy your work, it isn't work. It's a pleasure. And like guys will say, when are you going to retire, Don? I said, I am retired. Yeah, we seen you out there building fence yesterday. And I said, well, when you retire, you do what you like, don't you? And he said, yeah. Well, I said, I'm retired because I'm doing what I like.